Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and reconvene. First item on our agenda is any public comment. Anyone that might be here that has for us. And I don't see any public members here with us.
I have something briefly, if that's
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to thank some people. So I wanted to thank Jennifer Anderson. This is her second budget hearing, second time through the budget, and we made her work the salaries twice. So she's put in a lot of effort this summer, so I want to thank her. I also wanted to give a preview of something that Sadie and I have had each had a staff member working on. Apologize, you didn't get it before budget hearings. It's not quite done, but I just wanted to let you know that we've been working on org charts with the departments, so the department heads and or their staff, so I want to thank them as well. Not quite finished yet, as I mentioned, and we would like to add funding sources to this, but we've tried to take a look and have a uniform layout and presentation. Health department is still one that has questions, but I think it's looking pretty good. Some of these are smaller and easier than others, and some more complicated. So I just wanted to give a preview of that, something that we've been working on kind of outside the scope of our normal duties, and wanted to say thank you to all those that have been helping, and we'll get those out as soon as we can. So,
excellent. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. Okay. We've got three kind of items that we need to revisit this morning, and I know Jennifer had some small changes on general fund that I wanted her to highlight before we moved on into these other budget discussions. If you want to go ahead, Jennifer.
Sure. I took a look at general fund revenue and some of the salary lines, and I have some changes to both. I hope offset each other, but we'll see here. As far as revenue, some of these are driven by salary calculations, so I think we can modify them. I don't know if Sharon is in here or not.
She's
no.
not, but I can grab her.
Okay. The TEMA reimbursement that we get from the state has been holding steady at 69.8. So I'm not sure we can really count on getting any more than that. I'm going to change that one to 70 unless Sharon can tell me otherwise. Okay. Also, these other public defender would be driven by salaries as well, and I think we are low on that estimate, so I think I can change that to 1,535,964. And then some of these other reimbursements can go up a little bit too, because we had based them on 3% instead of 5%. So have those changes. Sheriff and I have talked this morning about 303.
Make it the same, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So yes, that number appeared low to me, and we've talked through that this morning. So that puts us over where we need to be. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sharon.
Make note of that. We helped out again.
Sharon, the TEMA reimbursement has been coming in pretty consistently at 69.8. So I don't think I should assume that we would get any more just because the salary was increased. Is
Correct.
That fair?
You will not. You might get less
Okay.
because of our population.
Okay. So should I go down a little bit on that?
I mean, I typically get an email from the state letting us know, but they haven't released that grant yet. So to be safe, I believe we're only supposed to get 65,000 for our population. So it'd be safe to go with that, and then we most likely will come over that because they realize how much we typically get, because that's not even 50%, obviously, of our salaries.
Okay. Thank you. And then the ones I was concerned about, I think we underfunded the prosecutor in looking at those salaries, some of the vacant positions that they have filled, which I believe he mentioned he's almost at full staff. We estimated at, a starting wage, and of course there's the gamut of different salary pays in that office. So I do need to add back here 86,025. And also on public safety lit. 1170. Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. The next three items that we needed to cover was we still had a couple of outstanding questions related to reassessment with the per diem for Paboa. Was there any response?
Yes. Communicated with Eric last night. So let me zoom in a bit here. So this is how I am understanding, how I'm understanding our conversation to be. There are 5 members on Paboa. The assessor makes up the 6th, although he pointed out he doesn't typically get paid for these meetings. They meet monthly. The current rate is $140 per day, and then other counties range anywhere from $80 to $300, and that was back in 2021. I believe the amount we came up with for 2024's budget was something similar to this, making some assumptions about how much they would get paid for the actual hearing day versus how much time they may spend on preparing for the hearing day. And this is about as close as I could get to where we would have come up with that 14.4, assuming so many meetings and so much per day. And then as far as appeals, they currently, for 2024, received 2,000 appeals, which, if we recall, they did ask for that. They advertised come appeal. So before that, it ranged around the 600s, 22 and 23. 20% of those are typically withdrawn before they get to Paboa. So 80% would be these numbers here. And then something that he wanted to also mention is that Paboa reviews all cases, so even agreements that are settled with the assessor go to Paboa for them to kind of ratify, what the assessor did in the agreement. And then when I asked about funding sources, he said, well, maybe only 10 to 15% of those are related to any kind of reassessment change to their assessment. So I threw out some options here. If you wanted to keep it the same, if you wanted to go with a 5% increase, since that's what we're doing with others, if you wanted to look at maybe the maximum that other counties, which I said is maybe 320 by now, doing 50% of that, or doing the full maximum compared to other counties. So those were just my thoughts about it, to throw something out for discussion.
Any feedback from council?
I would say just keep the same, 140. That's my opinion.
Have we typically been giving them the,
No. I think last year it increased, and before that it was flat for quite a while. So, last year was really the first time that it was brought to you as a board to decide, or a council to decide, so.
My reasoning for
general fund as far as where I know that was a question mark he had.
Right, he feels like it should be paid from the general fund versus reassessment. Kind of alluded to the fact that, well, maybe it's 50-50 this year and we have more of the conversation next year. I couldn't see you throwing it all back into the general fund. However, I did reduce his levy, and when you reduce reassessment, general fund gets a little more and vice versa, so it kind of doesn't matter where you pay for it from. You end up paying for reassessment from general funds anyway.
So I guess we've got two questions. Do we want to leave it flat, and do we want to put a certain percentage over into general and a certain, leave it in reassessment, or how would we want to divvy it up?
$140
140 is where we currently were.
They went
Well,
per day, per meeting,
per meeting.
plus some hourly rate for prep time.
Okay. See if we've got, still, do we have a particular recommendation? Because it's doing that, John.
We're trying to meet in the middle a little bit. Next year, we can do 75, 25, and see where we're at.
Well, and even, I think he even admitted that a certain percentage does probably need to stay in
Right.
reassessment. It's just what is that percentage, I think, is what we need to
Yeah, he's
decipher.
said about 10-50% for reassessments, maybe we land, in the big picture, a year or so from now, to 75, 25, keeping this, that's just where it's going to be.
Right.
Okay. I'm totally comfortable with either way, yeah, that's fine.
So 50-50, and are we comfortable with just leaving it at the same rate? So we stay at 14.4 for the total budget, just split it? Okay, I'll take that by consent unless I've pressured otherwise. So we'll have 7,200 in the general and 7,200 in reassessment.
Okay.
Okay. And then Ben and I had a conversation about the Community Corrections user fee fund. Ben, do you want to maybe highlight a little bit of what we talked about?
Yeah, well, I'm talking, if you ladies want to come up here, please. So, as we know, this user fee fund, as discussed yesterday, is upside down. And where we discussed, Jennifer gave us homework. And so what we kind of agreed to is essentially, we're going to set an informal minimum fund balance in the user fee fund. Not actionable item at all, but just kind of a behind the scenes of $300,000. So we don't deplete it completely, and there's a little bit of wiggle room there. With that said, we're going to have to cut $343,000 out of the user fee fund. I don't feel, in my personal opinion, to pull money from the general fund to help sustain this. I think it's something we can work on together collectively. And then by the end of January, we're going to meet. We're going to have kind of a sustainability plan, not just for 25, but for 26, 27, 28, on how to work together and maybe figure out ways to make this self-sustaining again, like I think it used to be years ago. And so with that, I gave the ladies a challenge this morning. They may not have time to figure it out. How to cut $343,000 within their budget, knowing that they may have to, move money within the series or whatnot throughout the year to kind of make ends meet. But they're going to have to figure that out. So if you have numbers, we could do that. Jennifer, I don't know how you want to go about that. If you want to give them a little time to figure it out, or if you have some of those.
Right now I have taken 15,000 out of utilities. 91.5 out of part-time. And I would say taking the overtime out, and then we will have to transfer down on positions that aren't filled to correct that. And that's all that I'm at right now. The last 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was this morning.
It was this morning.
For her defense.
Yeah, so,
You know, by the way, you got 5 minutes to cut $343,000. Ready to go.
It's a new game show.
speed budget.
So Jennifer, are we okay if she, over the next day or two, is able to kind of compile some numbers with, them working together and let you know that, so when we meet again, September 3rd, we have the final numbers?
Yes.
Or our night meeting?
So, yeah, September 3rd is the night meeting.
Is it? Okay.
10th is the official.
Yeah. So are we okay with that? I think it's fair to give her a little time, more than 5 minutes.
I appreciate that.
But that way, we're kind of meeting in the middle a little bit. We're not, harming the county as a collective and making them kind of maybe tighten some purse strings a little bit.
Does that seem like an acceptable plan, council?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
And then we also needed to discuss 911. So Sheriff, I don't know if Tracy needs to be involved in
I don't know, what exactly, I sat down with Lorna this morning. Please don't buzz. I sat down with Lorna this morning with asking her some questions about what exactly are the questions you have once she gets to that screen.
Sorry.
She's going back and forth between notes and
Yeah.
I think as much as anything, I think it's just reviewing and making sure we've got everything covered, and especially with respect to changes from West
From-
Lafayette and.
What do you
things
mean
that are coming-
Lafayette?
Or Lafayette, yes.
Yeah, so
I'm sorry.
Lafayette, some of the numbers in there are higher. We didn't believe we had any bills left over from Lafayette, and we don't, but the one, 3190, is still, like, that looks extremely high. We still owe Motorola, there's a $500,000 bill due towards the end of the year, so that's going to go up. There could be one more bill from Motorola, so that'll kind of even out. Everything else is good. We cut a bunch last year, which carried over to this year, so then it's kind of just carrying over from one year to the next. 3220, there was a Frontier bill. It was about $8,000 a month that now the state 911 pays that. So there's an increase there. All that's already reflected in all this, so there's no reason to click and add. They also took part of the digital fund, which was like around $3,500 was that bill. Now it's $2,000 on our end. Salaries, our 2 IT personnel, 50% of their salaries are taken out of that. And we'll meet with Commissioner Brown to discuss the sustainability. West Lafayette's looking at a new police department, fire department, I guess public safety building, if you will. What's that look like? Those are conversations that we need to have. Yes, there's things we have to fund. What I would like to see, although I don't control them, but what I'd like to see them is to include all of that stuff up front, just the initial, this is how much this is, instead of going, well, 911 will pay for this and 911 will pay for that, which is what we ran into with Lafayette. And then bills started coming in, and there's no way to budget for that. The next thing you know, you got a bill. So having those conversations again, and hopefully they will be receptive.
Yeah, I think Jennifer has been looking at the numbers, and I think I had first pass on that in terms of the amount of money coming in from the state board. And during our last distribution of the year, there'll be a little more that comes in as part of that split of that division from money that comes back to all of the county governments throughout the state. The problem is, at the rate that our 911 expenditures are growing, we've always been able to fund those from the money coming from the state. I'm not aware of any plan to increase the amount of money that what people pay on their bill. That'll certainly have a statewide remonstrance if people start talking about that. So we're going to have an eye to this and be sure that we've got other places for some of these costs to come from, because it's not going to, this is as close as we've ever been. And at some point in time, we won't be able to completely fund 911 from the funds coming back from the state. Many counties have set aside a portion of their public safety lit specifically for the PSAPs. We didn't do that here. I suppose that is a possibility for us, but just know at some point in time we're going to be against the wall and not going to have the state 911 funds come back to us to fund some of these.
Okay.
Anything else?
Any questions or discussion from council? Thank you.
Yep.
I'm
running.
I see your note about surveyor, part-time EDIT.
I think he's fine. There's an increase there in part-time in both EDIT section corner and Phase 2, which would cover what we cut from the general fund, so I think that's totally fine.
So we're still
Yep.
fine there.
Tara's here if you have any questions.
We will be attending a funeral for the commissioner later on after this meeting.
The sudden death and dismemberment of one particular commissioner.
Something like that. Anybody get hungry pigs?
Sheriff, you sent me your list of, huh? Yeah, I know you weren't. You were never done.
Yes.
Special teams, so I have those displayed. I don't know if you had any more comments about that, but you,
No, I can tell you, when you do the numbers, so people can be on multiple teams. The specialty pay maxes out at 3 teams. So if somebody wants to be really ambitious and be on 6 teams, they would only get paid for 3 no matter what. I have the breakdown of how many people are on each team. So there ends up being 157 spots. Again, there's some people that are on 3 teams. But that was the list I told you was next to my desk that I did not bring yesterday. So I sent it to you this morning.
yep.
Okay. Anything else that we need to cover yet this morning?
On the schedule, we had looking at the solid waste, Little Weah, and Battleground, or not Battleground, visitors, and you did that
We did those
yesterday.
yesterday, late
Didn't
afternoon.
know if you wanted to just make sure that there wasn't anybody here to speak about those, just to cover bases.
Okay. Is there anyone that would like to talk about solid waste or visitors
Wait a minute.
or Little Weah?
That yesterday?
You
Yes,
did.
we did.
Okay.
But they're officially on the schedule for today.
Oh.
So we're just making sure that there wasn't anyone that wanted to, hey, wait a minute.
Turn your mic on.
This is Tom's favorite subject. All right.
That's a sprinkles thing.
If there's nothing else, obviously, a week from tonight.
I do
Go
have
ahead.
one
Yeah.
question.
Yes.
We're still allocating $1 million to bricks and mortar at Lake Public Safety, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
that's still the plan. So we've got our public hearing, yes.
What about our merit
You're
grid
done.
pay? Right, I was. It was brought to my attention, the merit grid pay when it came back wasn't there, and then we had a discussion. Is that all taken care of?
Yes, that was in there for all.
Okay.
That was plugged in.
Oh, thank you. I think we're done now.
You're done.
You're done now. The helicopter's definitely
Yeah,
not
I'm
on
not
the
asking
table.
anymore.
Okay. So we have our evening meeting a week from tonight, and then 2 weeks, we'll do our final approvals. Any other discussion before we adjourn? If not, I'll take the last motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.